cyber, anything cyber, the institute that's going to be built at the Golf and Gardens, the Center for Excellence out at Fort Gordon. I think I asked you last time if people knew about Augusta, if we really were known as this cyber headquarters. Well, we truly are, aren't we?
Yeah.
And it's just going to get better, right? What do you expect as far as the jobs it will bring and the supporting companies that have to set up shop now?
You know, Brad, I think our future is whatever we want it to be. I think every opportunity is going to be available. I think that, you know, there are going to be some limiting factors. One is, you know, education. We have to have a skilled workforce. We have to have people who, not only we're training here locally, but folks who want to move here. And we have some great cheerleaders. Tom Patterson with Unisys Corporation is one of the biggest cheerleaders in this community. He moved here from Silicon Valley, so obviously he's thrilled with this opportunity, and that word is getting out there. Of course, Augusta's already on the lips of the world. I mean, because of the Masters Golf Tournament, and so and now we're going to be known for cyber, which is the new frontier in warfare. I mean, we're going to be fighting wars on a computer.
What do you think should happen when it comes time to not only build these facilities, but to run these operations? Should the private sector start to get heavily involved at this point? I know Governor Deal announced $50 million last week.
Right.
What about private businesses?
Well, it's a public-private partnership. Obviously, the infrastructure, you know, we've got to have that in place. Yeah. Downtown Augusta is going to play a big role in this.
Are you feeling that cooperation from the local leaders?
Yes.
Good.
Yes. And so, and obviously the governor has stepped up. I mean, this governor has produced, I mean, he will be known as the jobs producer, because we lost so many jobs in 2008, and I think we're back over 500,000 new jobs, and they're very diverse. And obviously this cyber, like I said, is the future of warfare, and I explained earlier, it's a real threat. I mean, I believe that the Department of Defense gets over 1,000 hits a day. And that's anywhere from China, Russia, to some fifth grader sitting in a classroom somewhere.
That's scary.
Isn't that something?
It really is. And you never know that all that's going on.
Exactly.
The director of the CIA, when he was here a couple of months ago, said that same thing. Yeah. That's all going on behind the scenes. It's all going to be hopefully blocked by those folks on the ground here.
And it's at the forefront. I mean, we have got to stop this. It is a national defense issue.
Congressman Allen, are you continuing your work on agriculture and education and workforce?
Yes.
I imagine. I mean, now you're building up the seniority. Now you're building up the standing.
Exactly. And that was kind of my wish to continue to work in those areas for a number of reasons. Obviously, agriculture is the #1 industry in our district. And farm income is down over 55% over the last 3 years. Our farmers are really hurting.
What helps them? Subsidies? What helps them?
No, we have got to, it's trade. And that's something I'm pretty excited about as far as the new president and his ability to do trade deals. And but, you know, and I'll give an example. The Chinese pay their farmers $1.40 a pound for their cotton. And our world market price at the same time was maybe 65 cents a pound. That's just not fair.
No, it's not.
Particularly when our cotton is the best cotton available on world markets. And they have to use our cotton, so I'll buy this shirt. So, you know, it's kind of a sharing thing, and it's out of balance, and we need to fix that. And our farmers will be fine. We have very productive farmers, and they're doing some really incredible things. I mean, I planted peanuts last year, and I never put my wheel on the steering wheel of the tractor.
It was all automatic.
It was all automatic, and I planted 18 inches over from where we planted last year. It was run by GPS.
It's amazing. It really is.
It really is.
The technology involved in farming is incredible.
Well, we got less than 2% of the population involved in farming today, and we're producing 110, 115% of our needs. So.
What about on the education front? Anything good for our schools?
Well, obviously, higher education is going to be at the forefront. Last year, you know, people, the last 114th session of Congress, people said, what'd you do? Well, I voted over 1,000 times. and I did 65 floor speeches regarding legislation. But one of the big pieces of legislation we were able to pass last year was the Every Student Succeeds Act, which our state superintendent is implementing now in our school systems. Our teachers love it. We repealed No Child Left Behind. We got rid of the threat of Common Core. And now the states are actually designing their own education systems, which is important as far as cyber is concerned, so that now, you know, we ought to have a charter school that deals with cyber.
We are just dedicated to that.
Yeah, exactly.
Congressman Allen, let me ask you a question about small businesses. I know that you're a big fan, a guardian of small businesses, and you're...
Brad, just 2.5 years ago, I was working for a living. Remember that?
Yeah, I remember it well, and so I think about that.
Small business.
No, and I think about your role with your company, and I think about the plans we've talked about with cyber.
Right.
I think about the things that have come out of Augusta University as far as the projects and development that'll transform our community.
Right.
Is this a good time to either open or have a small business? And if so, why? How can the federal government help them?
Yes. For example, we have spent the first 2 weeks reintroducing legislation. And a lot of this is dealing with the generating capital for small businesses. For example, we have had little or no IPOs for small businesses in the last 5 years. And it's because of compliance requirements.
Too many.
Yeah. We've simplified that. We've got that bill now to the Senate. We'll have that to the President. Many other things that we're doing, reintroducing legislation, getting it through there to grow this economy. We know that we can do better, and a big part of that is small business growth. We know that small business creates over 70% of all new jobs, and let me tell you, we've got twice as many people on government assistance today as we had 8 years ago. If we just get those folks back to work, can you imagine what it'll do for this economy?
Let me let you close out the interview by addressing some of those folks, by addressing perhaps some of the people watching the Means Report who could not care less about the inauguration or the new president for that matter. Congressman Allen, you represent all the people. What can you do for everybody? What can you do for the folks who didn't support this president?
Well, I think that President-elect Trump summed it up. He said there are 3 important things I'm going to focus on: jobs, jobs, and jobs. And yeah, I think the other side of the aisle is focused on jobs as well. We just have a little different idea about how to get there. We'd like to get there through the small business, the private sector. We have a regulatory environment that's in our capital markets that's affecting the generation of small businesses. We need tax reform so that we have more, so that those small businesses have more money to invest in their businesses and grow their businesses and employ more people. And then the exciting thing on education and workforce is obviously training a skilled workforce.
It's key.
Yeah. And of course, education and workforce is also going to deal with the health care. We're going to have hearings as far as health care, because it was the business community in World War II that created health care. Did you know that?
I did not.
Yes, in World War II, because wages were capped, the only way that you could compete, which it was very competitive for human resources back then, was to offer benefits. And that was the first time that health care was offered as a benefit.
Well, we're going to continue to monitor the progress that you're making on behalf of the 12th District. And as always, whenever you're in town, you make time for us, and we appreciate that.
I thank you for this time. And like I said, it's great to be back in the district. We had, we're going to have a great couple of days here. And Brad, thanks for all you do for the community. And we really appreciate our time together.
I do enjoy it. Thank you. Congressman Rick Allen, getting ready to go back up to Washington, D.C. Stay with us, everybody. The Means Report will continue in just a moment.